What's happening, folks? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Andy, the Electric Geek, and in for review today we have the latest 4K Blu-ray from Second Sight, and that is Sean Baker's awesome The Florida Project. In this review you can expect me to discuss the different options we have from the physical media point of view, the limited edition box set that's coming out. We're also getting it in 4K and Blu-ray. I'll deep dive into the transfer itself, talking about the video and the audio presentation of the 4K in particular, and then we'll discuss what's on the special features and ultimately whether or not it's worth picking this one up for you. So sit tight and we'll be talking all things the Florida Project very shortly. So thanks for sticking with us, folks. It's awesome to be back in front of the camera, I have to say. This is the second video I've filmed since my kind of comeback. If you're new to the channel, it won't matter to you, just enjoy the review, but if not, if you're a returning viewer, then you'll know that I've been away for a year, and this is the first time I've done a 4K Blu-ray review in about a year. So it feels awesome being back in front of the camera, doing the whole Electric Geek thing again, and I've dropped a video alongside this one for anyone that's interested, just kind of explaining where I've been, why I stopped, and what you can expect going forward. But yeah, looking forward to getting stuck back into it with a new focus, a new energy. Physical media is still booming, and I think it's important for people like myself and you guys that collect to keep doing what we're doing in order to ensure that it still thrives and it's still a fun community and a fun hobby to partake in. So all that aside, as I say, there'll be a link at the end explaining kind of where I've been, and if you're interested about what's going to happen in the channel going forward, you can check that out. But like I say, we're here to talk about the Florida Project. So the Florida Project is the latest from Second Sight. So I was fortunate enough to be sent this out by AIM Publicity on behalf of Second Sight. It's a preview promotional copy. So I was sent out the 4K and the Blu-ray, which comes out in 2 discs, and that's because there's 4.5 hours of special features on this. Absolutely cracking. Second Sight always delivers. But yeah, it's a good little cover sheet. It just explains everything that's on it. I hadn't actually seen the Florida Project. I've only seen one Sean Baker film prior to watching this, and that was Anora, the one that obviously was kind of splashed all over the news because Sean Baker kind of cleaned up at the Oscars this year. As a result, he took home 4 Oscars for, I think it was director, best screenplay, best producer, best picture, I think it was, and he also directed Maggie Madison to best actress. So the guy can direct, the guy knows what he's doing, obviously, behind the camera with my pen and paper in his hand. But I really enjoyed Anora. Thought it was excellent, give it 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it, the kind of authenticity, the kind of raw filmmaking of it. So I'd wanted to check out the Florida Project for a while, and then when I seen Second Sight were doing this, I reached out and got myself a copy. And I actually think the Florida Project is even better than Anora. I think it's a more accomplished film, to be honest, especially given that a lot of the cast weren't even proper trained actors. Like the young kid, I think it's Christopher Rivera, he was just living nearby and they recruited him. But ultimately, it's set in this motel, or around this motel, kind of budget motel in Florida, obviously, in the kind of shadow of Walt Disneyland and all that kind of stuff. So you've got these families that are kind of living in this motel with the occasional tourist coming through that's on a budget, obviously, but Willem Dafoe is the motel manager, and he kind of has arrangements with them where they can have extended stays because they're people that are poor, they're financially challenged, they're doing what they can to get by, and he acts as their kind of like guardian angel almost. Has a bit of a shitty life himself. It doesn't really give you much of a backstory. There's little snippets here and there which you can make your mind up as to maybe what Willem Dafoe's past is, what the character's past is. But yeah, brilliant. He plays it so well. He's just got such a human quality to him. Dafoe, really watchable in this movie, and I really warmed to him. But it's the little girl Mooney and her mum Haley, and she's doing all she can to get by. And the ways in which she raises money to kind of survive and get by puts Mooney in danger and jeopardy. But it's the fact that, like, the way Sean Baker films it, the kind of wonder of it. The motel is this garish purple colour, which looks brilliant in HDR, but we'll get into that. And he's got such a kind of naturalistic way of filming, uses a lot of kind of improv, and I think there was some candid camera scenes as well, which to get the authenticity of these characters' struggle. It's heart and mouth stuff sometimes because the kids end up in dangerous situations because the mum's not looking after them properly, but it's the way that the kids still find joy in adversity, because they don't know any different. But the tragedy of it is that just up the road there's other kids that have been better looked after, whose families have more money, and they're having the time of their lives in this, in the safety and in the wonder of Walt Disneyland. Whereas these kids are just kind of getting by with what they have. But the child actors are brilliant. The mother's great as well, albeit not the nicest of characters, but she's doing what she can. But it's just really worth watching. I've went on about it enough to say the plot is kind of meandering, so I can't really tie it down into what exactly happens. You just have to watch how it unfolds, but you're never bored. It looks beautiful, and it's got some fantastic performances in it, and it might even make you well up a bit at the end. It certainly did with me. But yeah, definitely check it out, and as I say, it's worthy of the Second Sight treatment. So Second Sight have released it obviously as one of these cracking limited edition box sets. Now obviously they haven't sent me out the box set, it's just a review copy I got, but you can see from the picture I'm putting on the screen what it kind of looks like, and the price on the screen as well. I can't remember, but it's obviously a bit more pricey, but the price on the screen there. But I have two of their box sets already, which I've reviewed in the past and unboxed. So I've got the Drive one. I mean, look at the thickness and the weight of that, and the Hitcher one, which is beautiful. And also did a live stream with the designer, the graphic designer for the Hitcher, which is worth checking out if you like that box set or you're into the packaging of physical media. I'll link it in the description. So these are quality, really, really good. If you've got the budget and you're into these kind of boutique collector's editions, Second Sight are always a safe bet, but they sell out quite quickly. So if you do want them, make sure you're in there early, as early as you can be anyway, to make sure you get yourself a copy. So you'll get that, and within that, I'll put on screen what's in it, but you get a booklet, 160 page hardback booklet. You get the rigid slipcase, as I say, with new artwork by Michael Dunbabin, and there's an on-set photo gallery included with it as well. If you get the premium edition, obviously you'll get the 4K and the Blu-ray versions in the one box set. But you can also get them as standard editions, which will release alongside it. So you can get the standard 4K, which is just one disc, and because it's a bigger gig capacity, all the special features are on that one disc. However, if you go with the Blu-ray option, obviously it's spread across two discs because there's that many special features. But special features wise, as I say, 4.5 hours and loads of new stuff on there. But I'll freeze frame it and you can have a look and see what's on it. The only ones I have actually watched was the interview with Willem Dafoe. These have all been done recently by Second Sight, high production quality, really good and informative. I enjoyed watching the Willem Dafoe one, and I also watched the one with the kids. So they've taken the 3 child actors just last year or whatever, and they've given a 30-minute interview on their experiences with it. But it's quite cool seeing them grown up now and how they've matured, and them kind of reminiscing about their time and how kind of important it was for their development, and how much they cherish the experience of making that movie and how much it's going to change their lives. But yes, there's so much on there, so much to get through that I've still to work my way through. But Second Sight always deliver with the special features. So when it comes to the video, it's a brand new 4K master that's on the 4K, obviously, produced and approved by the director Sean Baker himself, shot in 35mm, which always come out great on the 4K scan, and it looks absolutely gorgeous. This film's not flash, it's not got big action sequences. It was made for 5 million. I think it brought home 10 million or something like that. But it's Dolby Vision and HDR10 obviously is a standard kind of base layer for the HDR. You'll see the images that are on screen just now that I've taken with my iPhone 16 Pro on my Sony OLED. Some really, really nice, beautiful shots, almost Wes Anderson-like in his filmmaking. I can't remember who the DP was, but it reminded me of Wes Anderson at times. The kind of the symmetry of some of the mid shots, the pastel kind of purple of the motel itself always looks great and looks all the more garish, which is supposed to be, obviously. It's actually a real hotel, and HDR kind of brings that to life. There's a kind of grobbiness to the film. There's an authenticity, when you see Willem Dafoe's character Bobby in his office, there's little details like he's picked away at like the desk and stuff like that. It's like, because it's a proper lived-in locations they're filming in, and I think that the extra detail in the 4K just picks those up better, so it contextualizes the kind of environment and the fact that it's a budget hotel and that this is, they're not real characters, but there are people that are living like this for real in America, obviously. So I think the extra detail helps all those little subtleties that are definitely in there deliberately, that have been thought about by Sean Baker for sure. But whenever the kids are kind of on screen, they're always wearing kind of pastely bright clothing, obviously to kind of highlight their youth and their playfulness and the kind of joy that they bring. And there's a beautiful scene with a rainbow that actually happened for real, apparently, when I was watching the special features on the making of it. So they were going to CGI in the rainbow, was always in the script, but then it actually happened naturally, and they were just like, right, get a camera, get the kids, just get a shot of that. So these things where it's like natural things happening, like rainbows, for example, across over the top of the hotel, that's when HDR really lends itself to home video, because it can really do it justice and get the natural colours of that, and it just looks beautiful. It lends that authenticity to the film subtly as you watch it, that Sean Baker was obviously hoping for, shooting on 35mm and shooting on actual locations. So the presentation is beautiful, not the flashiest, crispest, most detailed or memorable presentation, but if you're into that naturalistic filmmaking and stuff, then this does look beautiful. So onto the audio side of things, and obviously this is a dialogue driven movie, and it doesn't really have a score, which kind of lends to the realism and the authenticity of it, as I've said already, with the way it was filmed. But it kind of partners the film beautifully. I think it works because it doesn't kind of like over romanticise or Hollywood it. He's trying to make you feel about these characters and make you think throughout the film. So I think the fact that there isn't really a score throughout helps. So what this soundtrack's doing in DTS 5.1 as it is on both the 4K and the Blu-ray, all those little nuances that the soundtrack brings out just reminds you that this is a real place. This is, it's fictitious characters, but they're real people that live their lives like this. So it's things like, you know, the buzzing of the freeway in the background, the noises of Extractor fans just ticking over in the background when they're in the motel, you know, crickets going when they're outside, all that kind of stuff. Helicopters flying overhead. There's this helicopter that's outside in quite a lot of scenes. It's kind of bizarre, but apparently they approached the hotel that had the owner of the helicopter that was obviously flying commercial flights back and forward to the parks or something like that. And because it was only made for $5 million, they couldn't pay him off effectively. It wasn't worth whatever they were offering him to stop flying for the duration of filming. So it's in a lot of the shots all the time. So that's something that's just in there. But again, it just lends to how the kind of realism of the movie, and reminds you that they're in a budget location where they've got this bloody helicopter flying in every day. You know, if you're an actual tourist there, it wouldn't be good at all. So that's what the soundtrack does. The dialogue is nice and clear. There isn't much of a musical soundtrack at all to this, but it works well, and the 5.1 DTS HD is more than enough to get that across and immerse you without having to go to object-based Atmos and like that. So I understand why they've not bothered. So audio is not going to blow you away, but complements the film perfectly. So to sum up, with all that being said, I can definitely recommend The Florida Project. It's worthwhile adding to your collection. If you're big into like Hollywood blockbusters and you only like buying stuff on disc that's maybe got a lot of rewatchability, you know, if you like your Marvel films, or you know, you like James Bond, whatever it is, blockbusters, Dune, stuff like that, then is it worth your while owning it on physical media? Maybe not, but you know, if you're more of if you're into auteur kind of filmmaking, if you like Sean Baker for a start, then it's definitely worth picking up, and you'll not get a better version of it than his approved and produced master with all the special features. Like, it's worth it. I think Second Sight stuff's worth it if you're into filmmaking in general. It's worth it for all the special features before you even start talking about the actual film. So definitely worth picking up. It's not one that I would have picked. I wouldn't have got the limited edition box set, just because I think it's too much money and it would have been a blind buy. But I definitely would recommend picking up the 4K. It's probably one that you'd get away with you buying the Blu-ray. You don't necessarily need the 4K, but I do think that HDR lends itself to getting those natural colours across, which are almost like a subtle kind of like uncredited character in this film. Beautiful colour palettes that's used, and it complements the themes perfectly, I think. So 4K is definitely the best option, but it's one of those ones I think if it's a blind buy on that, you could wait until it was in a sale, or if you just want to check out the film for the first time, you could just get the Blu-ray. So the Blu-ray will be $14.99. You can expect the 4K to be $24.99. As I say, you'll pay a lot more obviously for the box set. But that's it for this one. I can't recommend the film enough. Get it watched, even if you don't decide to buy it on 4K. It's definitely worth watching. See if you can find it on one of the streaming platforms, or even it's worth paying money for a rental, I would suggest. And then you can maybe decide whether or not you're going to take the plunge and buy it on 4K and add it to your collection. But yeah, another cracking entry from Second Sight, and I'd just like to say a thank you again to AIM Publicity, Deb over there, who sent this out to me, especially because I haven't been active for a year, so it was good of her to still send me out and put her trust in me that way. So I hope you've enjoyed it. But thanks for joining me again, especially returning viewers. As I say, it's been a long time I've been out, so I appreciate you coming back in to listen to me go on about the Florida Project. So it's great fun being back in front of the camera, and if you are new here, then make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed the video, give it a wee like, stick your notification bell on, and that way you'll be the first to know whenever my new content drops. But I've been Andy, Electric Geek. Keep buying 4K Blu-rays, keep physical media alive, and I'll see you in the next video.